Breaking news for those guys trying to find a girlfriend at the strip club. Those girls don't want you, and some of them don't even like men at all. Most strippers don't care what gender you are or who you're attracted to, as long as you're handing out the cash. I wish strip clubs themselves were the same. Being LGBTQ in a strip club can really blow, whether you're there to see tits or show them off. My experience being bisexual and working in strip clubs has been great, and sometimes even hilarious, but I know that isn't universal. There were many bisexual and lesbian dancers at my club, and we were all treated very well, although, of course, those lesbian dancers didn't share that information with their customers. They did, however, feel comfortable sharing that information with each other, because it was a club where girls didn't share each other's personal business with customers, even the very cutthroat girls, of which there were very few. This is a rarity. If you're starting out at a club, be slow to share your personal information with your coworkers, especially your sexual identity. Men at strip clubs really like to pretend that you'd go home with them if only you could. The gay and bisexual dancers at my club got lucky. No one tried to get rid of us. Customers, management, or other dancers. That's how it should be, of course, but not every club is so welcoming. I worried at first that if I let anybody know that I like girls, I'd be hiding in the corner of the dressing room every night, staring at my feet as I got dressed, like I had in high school gym class, hoping that no one would complain, or worse, at me seeing them get dressed. Instead, I watched that the dancers didn't care about the lesbian who already worked there when I was hired. She openly commented my natural boobs, hers were fake, on my first night, and everyone treated it like it was a joke and no big deal, and I didn't feel weird about it either. So I put my costumes and makeup on in peace, and was part of the never-ending dialogue about what looked good on us that night. Girls who knew I was gay would show off their new genital piercings, bend over and have me check to see if I could see a tampon string hanging out underneath their underwear, and involve me in a serious discourse of whose boobs look better, whipping off their tops to compare, just like they did with the straight girls. I did this without an ounce of temptation. I saw my coworkers as nothing more than coworkers, and their bodies, like mine, as tools to do our work. At the time I began dancing, I was prone to silly crushes, but I never had one on another dancer. Even if I had had a crush, I don't think anyone really would have cared. Strippers are so used to being sexualized and seeking out that sexualization that the ones that I worked with just saw my bisexuality as a way to find out what looked good on them. I gotta say though, my tastes are a little different from your average strip club customer. A strip club built for me would involve women with very short haircuts, wearing tearaway dickies and A-frame shirts without bras. It wasn't the same free-for-all outside the dressing room. Even in my liberal little town with its open-minded strippers, customers definitely cared. We had a girl who was very muscular. She could do amazing tricks no one else could do and was a married straight woman. But more than one customer decided not to buy a dance from her for fear that she was transgender. My heavily tattooed friend started wearing more covering up costumes to cover her more gay tattoos. If a customer saw them, he often wouldn't buy a dance because he couldn't pretend that she was into him, something that some customers really can't do without. I'm here to tell you, she was just as turned on by dancing for the male customers as any of the straight girls were. Double dances are when a customer gets a lap dance from two dancers at one time. I always said at my first club that this was the best show that you could get with your money, because a dancer was likely to do a lot more with another dancer in your lap than she was likely to do with you, especially if you let her pick the second dancer, who was probably her friend. I expected this to be problematic with straight dancers in the beginning as well, but they turned out to be way more daring and more interested in pushing the envelope than I was, while I tried to be very respectful and keep things under control. They were doing their jobs well. They acted ravenous, and I was left blushing. But being queer in the club can be hard on customers more than dancers. I recently heard about a trans woman who came into a strip club and was asked to use the men's restroom. Luckily, a dancer intervened and walked her to the ladies' room, guarding the door until she was done. This definitely doesn't only happen at strip clubs, but it's particularly stupid here. The manager trying to get her to use the men's restroom was of the breed we on this channel refer to as the loser type man, but many of him exist everywhere. Being transgender in clubs is a lot harder than being gay. I know personally of a woman who worked out in the Northwest strip clubs. Strip clubs that are known for being more out there and experimental. She is transgender and hot as hell, and even famed on the internet for being hot, and has had gender-affirming top and bottom surgery along with some facial reconstruction. She passes perfectly as a cisgendered woman. But she had a tough time getting hired by managers who knew she was trans, and when she was hired, was outed by a customer who had seen an article about her online. Fame definitely has its downsides. For transgender women wanting to work at strip clubs, I would say proceed with caution. Stripping is always dangerous, but for you it is tenfold. For bisexual and lesbian dancers, don't worry too much. Stripping has a place for you and you'll experience no more discrimination than is normal for your area, and possibly less. To see all of the content that I have out on the interwebs now, click my Linktree down in the description below. If you found this video helpful or informative, give it a like. If you like my content and want more, please click subscribe. For more videos like this, click the magical hovering playlist, Dancing While Human, which has all kinds of stories about what dancers bring to the job. Much love.